All right, we're going to give it 10 seconds like we usually do. 3, 2, 1. What's going on, y'all? It is AVIOT Sunday Brew, but we're recording this on a Monday, so I couldn't record yesterday, which was Sunday, because my wife and I just came back from traveling. That's also part of the reason why you didn't see an AVIOT podcast episode last week. Now, I was able to do an AVIOT Sunday Brew during the Sunday that my wife and I were out of the country, and we're back in the United States, by the way. And that episode went pretty well. I know I have to do a cover art for that, but my apologies for not use everything around us, mostly concentrated in the United States because that's where I'm from, right? Anyways, I got back, been tired, I got bags beneath my eyes. I didn't get much sleep last night, just contemplating what to do. Just there's so many ideas because when I was gone, so much stuff had happened in America, but I was just relaxing with my wife, having a nice vacation, nice time abroad. And there was so much news because I was checking my phone every now and then just to see what was going on. And man, it was just good to be away. What I will say is that if any of y'all have the means to travel, make sure to do so. You get to see more of the world around you and you get to see how people actually treat us abroad. Now, I know that Black people in Europe, sometimes we're going to have not that nice of an experience because, from what I understand, Europe is it's iffy when it comes to how they treat Black folk, right? The world has anti-Black sentiment. That it is what it is. You will see more Black countries, African countries. As a Black individual, I can only speak on the Black experience, what I've experienced myself. There's more of a favorable response, but even then, you might have some classism, then you might have some colorism. You never know. But I encourage everyone, if you have the means, to definitely travel abroad to see what's out there. And it might give you a different perspective on the world. If you're living in America, it'll give you a different perspective on what is out there. It will remove your ignorance, hopefully, because some people still travel and they remain ignorant, but you can see how people operate. And what I'll say is, when I was traveling, I just thought to myself, man, I just want people to get along. I want us all to work together in order for the betterment of the globe, for the betterment of different societies, because everybody has a voice, everyone has an opinion, and everyone's lives matter. Everyone has everyone has something to contribute to this floating rock that we call Terra or Earth. Okay. So I definitely encourage everyone to travel. And what I will say is just traveling in general. Well, my wife and I were out of the country. We were treated very well. We were treated very well by different people. Oh, Lord. Show me an apple. I don't know where to get an apple from. I'm not leaving this spot right here. I'm just recording from right here today. But yeah, we were treated very well, and it's just you see that, and then you see what's happening on American soil. We get back, and then I'm reading the news, seeing what's going on. I'm just like, ugh, I got to report on this, talk about what's going on, and unfortunately, it is what it is. So let me get into what's been happening. So there's a lot of anti-immigrant sentiment amongst those in the high powers, the White House, the current presidential administration, especially concerning immigrants that are not white. Hey, how you doing? I'm here. Definitely not Hamish. Doing? How you doing? You're. Oh, thank you, thank you. I hope all's well. Never forget you matter. Your proof of resilience, proof of greatness, proof of legacy. Your existence itself is powerful. Thank you very much. Appreciate you for that. Thank you. Appreciate that. But yeah, so I get back here and I'm just looking at all the stories surrounding immigration and the immigrant raid specifically in Chicago. And I was very disheartened. So you had a raid of, and I have my notes right here because some of this stuff I'm not able to pull from the top of my head. You had a raid of a residential apartment in South Shore, Chicago, and you had Black residents that were being pulled out of their homes. You had parents and children separated. Both children were zip tied. People weren't clothed. People were partially clothed. And then they were put in vans. They were held outside of their residence for hours. My thing is, there needs to be more public outrage because these are American citizens that were being harmed here. Okay, they are being criminalized, and I really feel for those people. And you had these ICE agents that came in, these federal agents that came in and were just detaining these black individuals, and they went and ransacked and destroyed their living quarters. When these people were finally let go and they were allowed to go back in their apartments, it was in shambles. I saw the pictures. Let me see what some more comments are saying. Keeping great vibes, sending blessings to you and your family. What's the greatest lesson your family passed down to you? Okay, so I'll just pause from my story and I'll get back to the Chicago raids in a minute. The greatest lesson that my family passed down to me is what I use on a daily basis, and what I'm using in this episode right here of AVIOT Sunday Brew, even though it's a Monday. That when you learn something, when you are educated about something, it can never be taken from you. I learned that from my great aunt, may God rest her soul. She taught me that whatever you learn, and if you're educated, no one can ever take that away from you. And you need to apply that education. Okay? I'll get into Nicki Minaj later, Omar. I'll get into Nicki Minaj later. But yeah, that's the greatest lesson that I learned. So going back to the Chicago raids, yeah, so you had that situation happen. You also had a situation in which Chicago alderperson Jesse Fuentes was handcuffed after checking a local hospital that Jesse Fuentes was presiding over. I guess that's in their district or their area that they're supposed to be, that they were elected to look after. So you had someone that was detained in a hospital in that area, and I believe they had injured their leg trying to escape federal ICE agents. And then, thank you, Exalted Boy. Thank you. And so you had federal ICE agents that were trying to chase this individual, and then they ended up hurting their legs. So you had older person Jesse Fuentes went to check on them in the hospital because reportedly this person was being denied access to lawyers, was being denied access to just outside help. So older person Jesse Fuentes was checking, saying, hey, to the federal agents, do you have a warrant to be here at this hospital? What's going on? And the federal agents ended up handcuffing and really roughhousing, manhandling alderperson Jesse Fuentes. And it's a horrible video to see. One thing I will say, for those of you who are taking videos of these events that are happening when people are being arrested, being detained by ICE, just any unlawful activities that's happening by federal agents or law enforcement, keep taking the video, because there are so many instances where individuals are being detained and being harmed by law enforcement, and it's not caught on video. People are losing their lives because you have law enforcement that think they're above the law, and they think that they can do whatever they want because they have power, they have badge, they have a firearm, they have federal backing. That is not appropriate at all. So keep on recording these instances. I'm glad that alderperson Jesse Fuentes caught that, got that on film, because now Fuentes can potentially press charges against these federal agents. And another thing too, with these federal agents, everyone always has their face covered. No, show people who you are. Are you afraid that you're going to be doxxed? Are you afraid that people are going to come after you the way you're coming after them? Maybe if you are showing your face, it will make you think twice about going and harming individuals, ripping them from their homes, and treating them like less than human. I understand we have undocumented immigrants in the United States. I understand that there needs to be a system in place so that people aren't just coming across the border without check marks. I understand that. But at the same time, these are individuals. These are not animals. These are not illegal aliens. There's no such thing as an illegal person in the world, okay? They're coming over undocumented. You have some undocumented people that are actually contributing to American society very well. I was talking to my brother-in-law last night, and he was saying how he has a friend that's been detained by the feds. And this person was brought over as a child. They were undocumented, but they ended up being a huge contributor to society. My thing is, don't you think there should be a system in place to try and keep someone like that here because they're actually helping the American environment? Let me see. What's going on? America is a crazy place. Why can't they just chill out? Well, if you think about Ronnie Flinter, if you think about how America was founded on genocide and the enslavement of black individuals, droves of black individuals against their will. So America was always needed to chill. It always needed to chill. All right. Let's see. All right, we're not talking about sports right now. We're talking about the ICE raids right now. We're not talking about sports. All right, so getting back to what I was saying, Yeah, I believe that these ICE agents shouldn't be masked because it'll make you think twice about harming individuals. And when you think about it, I was talking about my brother-in-law's friend who was detained because they're undocumented. I think there should be a system in place if there are undocumented people that are actually helping out in the United States. There should be a system in place to try and make them documented. Because contrary to popular belief, people always say, I mean, there's a narrative in the media right now that oh, there are these criminals and everything. Did you know that for the most part, people who immigrate to the United States and undocumented immigrant individuals tend to be law-abiding citizens because they don't want to be deported. They want to make sure that this life, the American dream, this better life that they had than back in their home country, they want to make sure it's preserved. So that's why they tend to be law-abiding citizens and conduct themselves better than actual Americans. Come to find out, when people immigrants have children and the next generations come over time, these individuals end up being more prone to criminality because they become more Americanized. The American way, unfortunately, is more criminal. All right, let's see. Can I speak to the heavy-set white woman? Okay. Well, no. Rich the Fish. I'm not. I said that the founding of this country this country was founded on the the elimination or genocide. I don't know what word I use, so you can rewind it back to see what word I use. But I'm not skimming over the fact that that tribal groups were harmed. I'm saying that also black individuals, black people were taken captive against their will, and they were enslaved on this land. And did you know that tribal groups, that certain tribes actually enslaved black people too? They became just as bad as the white individuals who enslaved black people as well. They were considered noble savages. They were considered better than black individuals. So that's that. Okay. Exalted born. Before we react, learn. ICE didn't create this mess, bad policies did. Agents follow orders made by people in suits. Real righteousness is knowledge, no hate. I understand that exalted born in terms of people are following orders, but at a point in time, that can't be an excuse. And then also on top of that, you can't be roughhousing people. Like, you can say the same thing for the Holocaust back over in Germany, right? Those agents over there, they were just following orders, right? So it's not just about following orders. You also have to treat other people with respect and dignity, even if they're undocumented. Shouldn't be manhandling them. I don't like ripping people from their families, children from their parents. I don't like all that stuff. I really don't. We can talk about whatever we want, free country. Brother, okay. I don't know what you're talking about. Whatever. All right, some of y'all just trolling in the comments. Okay. Talk about sports. Anyways, going back to what I was talking about. Another thing too, when we talk about these black people that were, well, I see another comment. Brazilians boycott products from the United States. I'm not familiar with Brazilians boycotting products in the United States. Okay. So let me get back to what I was talking about. Another thing too, with these black individuals being held in Chicago and being harmed by federal agents, there's this sentiment I've seen some corner needed to be in solidarity with the immigrants. Next, I don't like that perspective. They've always been coming for black folk. They means the federal government, means the white people in charge, means anyone who harbors anti-black sentiment. They've always been coming for black people. We have been getting scooped up by law enforcement, being harmed by law enforcement. This is nothing new. Okay. I was never on the bandwagon of, well, I'll tell you, some of the memes, I gotta be honest. Some of the memes were funny when, the I will vote for Donald Trump, like that stuff, and then those people ended up getting deported. I'm like, hey, that, I, it just goes to show your ignorance is what sent you packing, right? But I've never been on the bandwagon of dumping on immigrants, even those that voted for this this current presidential administration. I'm just like, if they get deported, hey, that's what happens. That's what happens. Oh, gee, a lot of comments. So you have a Turkey flag, but you're saying free Palestine. Is that Turkey? Is this? Can you? I don't know a flag. This is not the Palestinian flag though, but you're saying free Palestine. I don't know what that flag is. All right, excuse my ignorance. I don't know all the flags. All right, the Brazilians. Okay, why are we talking about the Chiefs? Do you agree with loud and obnoxious line used by influencers? What loud and obnoxious line are you talking about? Okay, I promise. The promise to make America great again has become a grand show that masks the truth. The United States can no longer sustain its own economic model, says Brazil. Okay, I don't. I okay. That's an interesting point. Uh, it's not appropriate. These individuals are coming to America legally. We owe them nothing. If they want to come legally, we need to help Americans. Okay, let me speak to that. Let me speak to that. So here's the thing. When it comes to people coming over to the United States as undocumented immigrants, it's not as simple as, oh, they're just coming over here, right? There are certain areas that the United States has had a hand in destabilizing. So, and I'm speaking specifically to Central South America. And so you have people in other areas of the world. So you have people that are like, well, I need to come over to America to make a better life for myself because this environment that I'm living in is rough. I can empathize with that. Even when it comes to the immigration process, it's not as simple as, well, just come over here the legal way. Some people have a hard time doing that. At the same time, people can't just be willy-nilly jumping across the border, right? I'm not an expert in this area. I do believe, though, that we all should have more empathy for people who are coming over here undocumented because we don't know everybody's stories. People are trying to get a better life, and a lot of people find a better life in the United States. Okay. A lot of people who are immigrating over here, even the undocumented immigrants, even the undocumented immigrants, they are great contributors to American society. You think about growing up, you see the Latinos that would be on the roads, and then people would be driving by, then a car would stop, and they'd be like, hey, hop in the back of my pickup truck. I need you to mow my lawn. They're contributing to society. What's with the Brazil and the Chief stuff? Okay. I'm not commenting on Brazil and Chief. Okay. All right, whatever. So like I said, talking about people that were saying that black people needed to join the side of the immigrants. A lot of immigrants also have anti-black sentiment as well. So I can understand black individuals feeling a type of way about just willy-nilly supporting immigrants. I don't believe in being xenophobic, but at the same time, black people, you got to empathize with them too. A lot of people have anti-black sentiment, and black folk ain't going for that anymore. Okay. I saw today some news came out that Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, he signed an executive order aimed at limiting where federal agents, ICE agents, can gather in the city of Chicago because of all the craziness that's going on. The alderperson being arrested, the raids of that residential apartment building in South Shore, Chicago. I think there was also some smoke bombs that were set off near a school, and then you had kids that were having their eyes hurt by all the smoke bombs. You had law enforcement that were trying to intervene that were also harmed in the process. So basically, this executive order is aimed at limiting where federal agents can gather in the city, prohibiting them from using certain city-owned spaces for immigration enforcement activities. Going further, the order will prohibit federal immigration authorities from using city-owned or controlled parking lots, vacant lots, and garages as staging areas, processing locations, or operations bases for civil immigration enforcement activities. What does that mean? That means that ICE agents can't just come into the city of Chicago and just be planting themselves anywhere and just jumping out and harassing people. If there are private owned businesses, if there are city owned areas, they can say, we don't want you coming here harassing individuals. I think this is a great executive order. I understand the White House is not happy about it. They think it's a betrayal of law abiding citizens. But guess what? In the White House's statement condemning this executive order, they use some very harmful language, painting undocumented immigrants as inherently criminal. That is not the case. I just told y'all before, more than likely when people come over to the United States, even if they're undocumented, they are law abiding citizens. Okay. All right. He wants his audience to focus on race and immigration. Listen, T Bird, visit the page. If you see the content that I make on this page, I've always been talking about racial matters, social issues. So, hey, remember, you came over here, so you can try to spam about the Chiefs and the Super Bowl. Thanks, you're driving up my engagement. It helps the algorithm out. Okay, so you came over here. I can talk whatever. I can say whatever I want to on this platform. If you have a platform, you can use that to talk about what you want to talk about. But I'm talking about what I want to talk about right here. Okay. With that being said, I think that this is great what the mayor of Chicago, this executive order that they've signed. The White House used harmful language to characterize immigrants, especially undocumented immigrants. And it is what it is. So I hope Chicago holds true to that executive order. And these federal agents, these ICE agents, they shouldn't be harming individuals. Not at all. Speaking of immigrants, speaking of people who look different than what America deems as acceptable, the whiteness and all that. I know, and I see y'all talking about super football in the comments section. I know y'all are familiar or y'all have heard about the Super Bowl announcement that Bad Bunny, the Latino artist whose music is primarily Spanish, will be headlining this coming Super Bowl. So you have many people who are outraged about that. And I love it. Now, I'll be honest, I don't watch football like that. I don't really watch football at all. Only time I really watch it is when me and my sister were trying to do like a podcast episode talking about sports, and I needed to talk about it. But I don't really watch football like that. I'm a WNBA head, and I'll get into that in a second. So, not trolling, do you have white friends? Yes, I do. Yeah, I do. Okay. So, Bad Bunny having the Super Bowl performance or the halftime show, I think it's great. And listen, you have people saying, "Oh, he's from Puerto Rico." Like that's not even Puerto Rico's a part of the United States, y'all. Puerto Rico's a part of the United States. I actually saw this comment on Threads, which I thought was so interesting. Bad Bunny can run for president before Ted Cruz can. Ted Cruz is not American. He was born in Canada. Okay. He's not, he was not, he's not a naturalized citizen now, or he hasn't immigrated over here, but he not being born in America, Ted Cruz cannot run for president, but Bad Bunny could run for president of the United States because Puerto Rico is part of the United States. So many people don't understand that, and it is baffling to me. So the president of Puerto Rico is also the president of these United States. Okay. So Puerto Rico, I remember the time when I think they had that hurricane over there, and the president, it was during his first term, he was throwing out the paper towels at people. Oh, that always rubbed the wrong way. Ugh, terrible, terrible. But yeah, so I'm interested in seeing Bad Bunny's performance. I actually like his music. I don't understand what he's saying. I really don't. Sometimes I might catch a word here or there, but his music slaps. Hey, his music's really good. So speaking of entertainment and music, I said I was gonna comment on Cardi B earlier and Nicki Minaj. No, Nicki Minaj specifically. Puerto Rico runs deeper than the flags and beaches. Is Ephraim one of the tribes of Israel? Okay, okay, okay. Exalted Born. I'll look more into the history of Puerto Rico. Thanks for giving your perspective. So I said I was going to talk about Nicki Minaj earlier, and I know she's been having a back and forth with the hip hop artist Cardi B. Cardi B recently released an album called Am I the Drama? First time in your live list. Oh, thank you, Ronnie. Appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying the show. So yeah, I try to do this every Sunday. I just missed this past Sunday because my wife and I were traveling. We got back and I was too tired to do the show. So there was a message. If you look in the notes on this YouTube channel, it said that we'd be doing the show on Monday. So yeah, welcome. But yeah, Cardi B put out an album recently called Am I the Drama? And it seemed that ever since she put out this album, I mean, she was taking shots at people on diss records, specifically Bia, JT, Lil Uzi Vert, and people think that she threw some shots at Nicki Minaj, don't know, or Ice Spice too. And so now, okay, right, okay. So now Nicki went on this whole Twitter rampage, and she was talking about Cardi B's kids. Cardi B started clapping back, talking about Nicki's kids, Nicki's family. It's a whole back and forth. What I will say is this. I believe that Nicki Minaj, at this point in her career, she's going to be known more for her rants on Twitter and her beefing with other female artists in the hip hop um, industry, as opposed to her actual talent. Because what I will say is that Nicki Minaj is a talented rapper. Does she talk about much? No, but she's a talented rapper. I remember when she went on her run when she had Monster with Jay-Z and Kanye. That was fire. I remember she was on a song with Juicy J. She was on a song with what's the boys that made Black Beetle? I forgot their name. But yeah, she was on this whole feature run and Nicki was just killing every track. But now I know her more for her antics than her actual music. And the fact of the matter is, when we talk about accolades, Cardi B has higher honors or higher accolades than Nicki Minaj does. Cardi B has a Grammy. I understand Grammys aren't necessarily the barometer for talent, right? But Cardi B has a Grammy. Nicki, I don't think Nicki's ever gotten a Grammy. Has she? I don't think Nicki's ever gotten a Grammy. I know Cardi B got Best Hip Hop Album. Nicki's never gotten that. So Nicki's always had venom for Cardi, and it always seems like she needs to be on top, and no other female hip hop artist can coexist so long as Nicki's in existence. With Cardi B being the top hip hop artist, I mean, obviously she's not the best lyricist, but she put together for her two albums that were 7 years apart. She put together comprehensive, concrete projects. I was pleasantly surprised by Am I the Drama. Is Cardi B the greatest rapper? No, but Cardi B put together a better project than rappers that rap better than her. This includes the men. Cardi B really did her thing. And if you look at Cardi B, she makes friendships with different female hip hop artists in the music industry. It is so much different than Nicki, sorry. Cardi is so much different than Nicki in how she's able to form relationships and how she's able to bring other people up with her. I love it for her, and I'm interested to see where everything goes. I know that her album did very well. Having WAP and Up, that was a cheat code. It really was. Cardi really Jay Z. I want to say Cardi Jay Z. No, 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 no. Are you talking about in terms of like mass appeal? Because I don't know if you can make that. I don't. Nicki's really Jay Z. I wouldn't even say Nicki's Jay Z. I wouldn't even say that. I wouldn't say because Nicki didn't have a long enough run. Yeah, she inspired other people, and I guess you can consider her an icon. But Jay Z status is another ball game. I don't know if you could put Nicki up there. I don't know. Mm. Well, I don't know. I have to think about that. I need to think about that a little bit more. Hey, Abran01, how you doing? But I need to think about that a little bit more. So you have that whole thing going on. Cardi, Am I the Drama? We'll see what happens out of that. Exalted Born. What comment did you make? Mark Wave File. Slow one of her songs down. It's Jay-Z. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. So that's that with the music industry. What I want to close with is talking about the some more entertainment, but sports. So I talked about Super Bowl, but I'm not be talking about football. I'm be talking about basketball, specifically the WNBA. I encourage you all out there to definitely watch the WNBA playoffs that's been happening. We're in the finals right now with the Las Vegas Aces having a 2-0 lead against the Phoenix Mercury. And okay, I don't know what that comment means. And the series is good, even though Vegas is the best of 7. The series is still good. So I definitely encourage all of you out there to watch that. With basketball too, we have a big figure, Angel Reese. Angel Reese recently came out as being the new global ambassador for Juicy Couture and also a creative collaborator. So she has her own signature apparel collection coming out called Angel Couture. You can actually look at the Juicy Couture website and you'll see Angel Reese on there with her apparel. Now, my wife said that Angel kind of embodies a Y2K aesthetic. So it's interesting to see her partnering with Juicy Couture. I feel like it fits her very well. Let me see some of these comments right here. Oh, Exalted, you saying you were mentioning the Nicki versus Cardi issue? What were you saying with the Nicki versus Cardi issue? I'm looking at my comments right now, but I don't see what you're saying with the Nicki versus Cardi issue. I don't understand. S Burn OG. I don't understand that comment. Hey Kenzie, how you doing? Okay. Yeah, some of these comments, man, I need you to be a little bit more clear in the comment section. But anyways, yeah, so I'm happy for Angel that she got this new partnership with Juicy Couture. Angel, get a bag, Reese. She stayed with a bag. She stayed with a partnership. I really love this for her. Other things that happened in WNBA, they're in CBA negotiations right now, the collective bargaining agreement. I'm interested to see what happens regarding the WNBA going forward. It looks like they're going to have a lockout. They might not be playing next year. So that's definitely going to be something. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got to talk about today. I know I rushed the WNBA news at the end because I got to make some videos that follow up on that. So, anyways, thank y'all for tuning in. I always end talking about what's brewing for this week. So I put out a whole bunch of videos. If you check this channel right here, make sure to subscribe to the channel, Chemistry Productions. Okay. I put out a lot of different content talking about a lot of different subject matter. So I talked about Angel Reese. I talked about the Mayor of Chicago. I talked about Channing Tatum and some comments he had about the movie industry via a interview that he did on Hot Ones, you know, where he eat the spicy chicken wings. So that's that. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep on creating content. Look forward to a podcast episode this week. I'm sure a lot's gonna happen between now and Thursday. Thursdays where I release the podcast episodes. Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate all the comments that made sense on here and those who contributed to this conversation. And I will be seeing y'all next week. Peace.